Portraits are classic, and I feel like everyone should have one of themselves, at least one in their lifetime, in my honest opinion. Nowadays, we have the selfie, and I love selfies, but there's nothing like a professional portrait taken of you by a photographer. Honestly, I say this is my favorite type of capture as a photographer. And with capturing so many in my journey, I've honed in on my own personal editing style for portraits. So I want to quickly go into my favorite editing style for portraits. So here it is. I would describe my editing style just like I describe my fashion style, and that is elevated, simple. Because portraits are so iconic in themselves, my approach is to create a contrasted, muted, soft, natural look for my photos. In my portraits, I don't really like to do too much in post-production because I want to keep that nice, soft, natural essence of the person intact, because if I start playing with the colors and adjusting too much of how it really looks, it's going to diminish that pure attribute that I want out of a photo. So with editing portraits, I use my girl Lightroom, okay? Adobe Lightroom has been amazing. I toggle with Photoshop a little bit too, but my main one is Lightroom. So in there, I use these three main tools that I love and that I'm going to continue to use. And they are contrast, curves, and texture. Contrast can aid in the elevated feel of a photo because it can darken the edges and the shadows, or it can lighten the edges and the shadows of a photo to make it a more flatter image. Personally, I like to go a little darker with contrast because I feel like it helps the photo to stand out and it brings an edge to it. Next, curves tool is my second favorite tool to use because it can manipulate how the skin and the light looks on a photo. It essentially controls the highlights, midtones, and contrast. After I've already adjusted the contrast, I move into the curves panel so that I can control the mutedness and the mattedness of a photo. Please excuse me if those are not words. I always make up words, forgive me. But those are the types of looks that I'm trying to achieve on a nice portrait. Lastly, my favorite tool is texture. Texture aids in that softness that I really need in a photo. I love a good soft, airy look on a portrait, but not too blurry, blush. But I like the tool because it gives me that control. This tool acts just like the sharpen tool in a way. The higher you go in the number, the more defined and crisp the edges will be. And then the lower you go in the number, the more kind of blurred and soft the image is going to be. As for me, I like for my image to still be crisp and nice and kind of sharp, but a sharp soft, if that makes sense. So I keep it between -4 and like -22 with that little toggle that you can go, high and low with. I'm going to the lower side when it comes to the texture tool. Now remember, this is my favorite style. It doesn't have to be yours. You can create your own and make it a thing, because it's all about what you like and what you want your portraits to look like. Overall, portraits are my absolute favorite to capture because I love to bring out the natural essence of a person. While editing, curves, contrast, and texture are my favorite tools to use because it really helps me to get that elevated, simple look. And don't get me wrong, I use other tools within Lightroom to edit portraits, but those are the three main tools that I go to for sure when it comes to those photos. But thank you guys so much. I hope this video helped you in some type of way about how you edit your photos. This is my look. I love an elevated, simple anything. Listen, fashion, and now into my portraits. And if you happen to have any questions for me about this video or about photography in general, let me know in the comments because I'll be so happy to answer you. And hey, if you're watching this during the week, have a good week. And if you're watching this on the weekend, have a good weekend. And I'll see y'all soon. See y'all.